I'm not going to sit here and bore you with a super long intro. If you clicked on this video, chances are you know what a draft grades video is. And if you don't, I'll run it down for you real quick. Pretty self-explanatory. Basically, we're going team by team, talking about the draft. I'm going to assign a letter grade to every single pick and then give an overall grade for the team in question. Going to be talking about all 32 teams over the summer. That's my big twist that I put on it. Not exactly reinventing the wheel, but not a lot of people give each team their own video to shine. Usually it's division by division, conference by conference, and those are totally legitimate ways of going about things and probably take a lot less work and save you a lot of time, but hey, I like to do things a little bit differently. Keep in mind, though, because of that time crunch, this intro is pre-recorded. I'm recording this all the way back in May. Who knows how long these videos will take to come out, so just keep that in mind. You know what team you're watching. You don't need me to tell you in the intro. You clicked on the video, you can read the title, you can see the thumbnail. Two quick things to keep in mind. Number one, I'm not a professional. I don't claim to be a professional. I am very much an amateur. So if I disagree with something your favorite team did, I'm not saying I know better than your favorite general manager, your favorite scout, if you're a freak and have one of those. I'm just saying I didn't agree with the pick. I didn't agree with the process. That's my opinion. Feel free to disagree and let me know in the comments below why you disagree with me or agree with the team, whichever it may be. Regardless, the point is, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody here. I just have opinions and I like to share them. Also, I have changed my grading scale up from last year, and that is to say that I actually have a grading scale now, as you can see on the screen. This will keep things more uniform, allow me to stay more consistent, and also provide some transparency between me and you as the viewer. So, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into whatever team we're talking about today. Quick heads up before we jump into this. I have been dealing with some issues with my asthma that has really impacted my breathing over the past week or so. So that is number one why I haven't been able to upload much. And also number two, if there are a bunch of cuts in this video or if things end up starting to sound unnatural or anything like that, that's why. I'm currently trying to balance the crazy heat wave on the East Coast, which thankfully is finally starting to calm down, and also not having my medication I need because my insurance is trying to fight me. But either way, we will persevere. We're going to push through it, and we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, you know, as a whole, I have not agreed with their off-season methods. Like, I haven't loved some of the things they've done. But the draft is a completely different story, and that's what we're going to focus on, because I have absolutely loved what they did during the draft, and the more I think about it, the better it gets. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting out with Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon, who, in my opinion, was the perfect pick for Pittsburgh, because this dude is going to do so much for you, not only right now, but long-term. Like, number one, he is the perfect 3-4 defensive end to have on early downs as a run defender. He can stay on the field on passing downs and get to the quarterback. He's somebody that right now is going to be an awesome partner in crime for Cam Hayward, but also long-term will be the perfect successor for him. And also, like, right now, if you want to take Cam Hayward off the field every once in a while and, you know, keep him fresh and really rely on some of the younger guys, Derek Harmon, I believe, can more than hold down the fort without Cam Hayward on the field. Like, I think if he is the best interior defensive lineman on the field for you at a given time, you're doing something right. So I love Harmon. Absolutely incredible player. This is someone who right away is going to come into the league as a plus run defender with a fantastic frame. 6'4 and a half, 313 pounds, over 34-inch arms. He's only 21 years old. Like, he's got a lot to like just from a physical standpoint. He's got a great first step. He's going to be able to explode either into blockers to set up the guys behind him to come downhill and make plays, or to explode into the backfield himself. He's very, very good at shooting gaps. He's also, you know, a super strong player. His power profile is great. He's a really good anchor. He's not somebody you're going to move as a run blocker very often, if ever. He can stack and shed consistently. Pad level's great. Just as a whole, a really, really good run defender. And then as a pass rusher, I mean, he's got the juice, like I said. And he's got a really nice arsenal of moves. He uses rips, swipes, swims, chops, and a really nice Euro step, along with his bull rush that he's able to generate. He really has it all. Now, he is coming off an injury. You know, that's Definitely not ideal, but it is what it is. His chest is something that he needs to work on protecting. He will leave that exposed from time to time. His gap integrity is a little bit iffy, but if you're going to learn gap integrity from someone, I think Cam Hayward's the perfect teacher. And his hand usage as a whole, while really good, could use an improvement. Counters, and more specifically his accuracy, like the consistency with his accuracy, could definitely improve. But again, Cam Hayward is his teacher now. He is in the perfect spot. Anything I just pointed out can easily be taught, and can easily be taught by Cam Hayward specifically. So I love this pick across the board. I cannot think of a genuine negative thing to say about it. Like, obviously, I'm going to give you his weaknesses, quote unquote, as a prospect, but that's just to paint the full picture. I don't think those will be an issue long term. And you look at Pittsburgh's defensive line right now. I mean, him, Hayward, and Benton is an awesome trio on the interior. I loved Keanu Benton. He's one of my favorite defensive tackle prospects I've ever evaluated. Not in terms of grade, but just in terms of enjoyment I got from his film. But those three, and then some of the other names, that one of which we'll talk about here in a bit, that they took on day 3, one of their their only 5th round pick, excuse me. I really like what they're cooking up there on the interior. I think they've done a tremendous job building that up, and Derek Harmon right away will be an awesome partner in crime for Cam Hayward, and long term I think is the perfect man to fill his shoes, and to, I don't want to say he'll replace Cam Hayward, because you can't replace Cam Hayward, but he'll definitely be the perfect person to step into the void he's going to leave, and at least make you feel good about it, right? Is he going to be as good as Cam Hayward? Time will tell. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But you can't make that assumption before he's played an NFL snap, so I'm not going to do that. As then we get into day 2, and they took a running back, Caleb Johnson, out of Iowa. And not only was the value here tremendous, I had a mid-second round pick on Caleb Johnson. You're taking him here in the 3rd round. But this is the perfect Arthur Smith running back. Caleb Johnson, first of all, at only 21 years old, which is fantastic, obviously, a very young running back. Got a great frame at 6'1", 224. But the big thing here, the main reason why I say he is the perfect Arthur Smith running back, is because of his biggest weakness. And his biggest weakness is his acceleration. His 0 to 60 is non-existent, right? He has some of the worst acceleration in the class. However, playing for Arthur Smith, one of the best wide zone run game coordinators in the sport, it's a match made in heaven. In that wide zone, you get a couple extra steps to build up your top speed and then explode. You can let your blocks develop. You can be patient. That's where Caleb Johnson's at his best. So taking a look here at some of the strengths for him, he's got good breakaway speed. I know he ran close to a 4.6. I want to say a 4.57. Don't care. Tape doesn't lie. That dude has breakaway speed. Great play strength. Incredible vision, which is only going to further push the point home of how good of a fit he is in this offense. He's got a really good stiff arm, can make guys miss in space, doesn't fumble the ball, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Like I said, that acceleration is going to be a problem. And then also his lateral agility, while it is good beyond the line of scrimmage and in open space, in the backfield, not so much. Close quarters, he just isn't as good at making guys miss, but I think you can live with that. Him as your Najee Harris replacement, I think, is not only a tremendous fit, not only a great replacement, but I'll outright say an upgrade. I think Caleb Johnson is going to be a better running back than Najee Harris the minute he steps into the National Football League. I thought he was one of the 5 best backs in this class. Granted, he was number 5 for me, but that was more so because of his scheme dependence, and he landed in the perfect scheme for that, for his weaknesses, for his skill set, I guess I should say, to put a more positive spin on it. Because, yeah, I think he could survive in a gap scheme or, some other type of run scheme. But realistically, if you're going to maximize Caleb Johnson, you want him in this type of offense. And he ended up in the perfect spot for that. So first 2 picks, knocked him out of the park, both A+. Moving then into day 3, I'm going to be totally honest, these first 2 picks, I do not have a lot to say about because I feel like they're very straightforward. That's not an insult at either player. I think they are going to do exactly what they were drafted to do pretty well. It's just that neither one of these players are that complex, right? Jack Sawyer, the edge rusher out of Ohio State, just starting off with him because he was the first of the 2 picks. This is right about where I had him graded. I had a mid to late 4th round grade on him. Take him here in the 20s in the 4th round makes sense. And he is going to come in and be your 4th edge rusher, most likely. He's somebody that can play on early downs, keep Watt or Herbig or Highsmith. Goodness, I don't know why his name escaped me there for a moment. He can keep one of those guys fresh by coming in on early downs, playing the run, just doing what he has to so they can come in on 3rd down, on passing downs, and really light it up because that's what their strengths are. And that's okay. Kind of think like Preston Smith, what he was doing for Pittsburgh. That is a prime example of what Sawyer is going to do because he's a very similar player. Sawyer is a very, very good run defender. His diagnostics are great. His discipline's great. He can effectively set the edge or stack and shed if he needs to. He's got what you want as a run defender. And as a pass rusher, I mean, he's not totally irrelevant. He can do something from time to time. He's got a really solid bag of moves. He's not overwhelmingly athletic or really overwhelmingly strong, which is going to hold him back in terms of upside. On top of that, he's already 23. So he's kind of a what you see is what you get player, and what you get is a high motor run defender who will do well on early downs, and maybe every now and again on a passing play he'll be able to make an impact. And honestly, given what Pittsburgh's front looks like right now, I think that's totally valid. I don't think there's any reason to be upset with that evaluation of Sawyer. I don't think there's any reason to believe that he needs to be anything more than that. I think if he was that, Pittsburgh would be very satisfied with this 4th round pick, and I have to agree. I think that would be a very good outcome for Jack Sawyer, and I think that is exactly what's going to happen with him. And then we get to Yahweh Black, the defensive tackle out of Iowa, and he's a very similar situation. Very straightforward player. He's just a big, thick nose tackle who is at his best when he's asked to eat space and open up for other defenders. And that's what he's going to have to be, Like, Pittsburgh isn't drafting him thinking, oh, we've got this high upside, someone who can be a 3-down player. No, you're drafting him in the 5th round because you're going, well, we need a backup to Keanu Benton. We've got Daniel Ekuwale, but, let's give him a little bit of competition. We like Yahweh's tape, and we probably spoke to him at some point. So you bring him in as a 6'6" behemoth with 35-inch arms, who is just an immovable object. Now, I wouldn't call him an unstoppable force or anything like that. His first step is pretty poor, and he's not somebody that you're going to rely on to do anything in the passing game as a pass rusher. But I'll be damned if he can't set his feet, get his hands into an offensive lineman's chest and peek, or stack and shed, or, open up a gap, open up some space, so a linebacker can come downhill and make a play. And that is exactly what he would be asked to do when on the field for Pittsburgh. So again, both of those players, very straightforward, but I don't see that as a bad thing. Sometimes keeping it simple, not overhyping a guy, just going, look, this is a day 3 pick who was drafted to fulfill a very specific role, and I think he has all the tools to fulfill that role very well. That is pretty much how I would describe both Sawyer and Black. And maybe there's a world where if Keanu Benton doesn't take that step forward that Pittsburgh is hoping he will, that Black will start on early downs and maybe outsnap Benton. I don't see that happening, but I'm also a big Keanu Benton believer, so we'll see how that plays out. But realistically, 2 rotational role players that are going to play their role very well. And that is exactly what Pittsburgh needed with those 2 picks. But then you get into a more exciting pick in the 6th round with Will Howard, the quarterback out of Ohio State. And obviously, I'm recording this a couple months after the draft now, so Aaron Rodgers has signed in Pittsburgh. Believe it or not, he's not the long-term answer, right? I'm sure everyone knows that. I'm pretty sure he's already openly said this is going to be his last year. And quite frankly, I cannot wait to be rid of him. And now that I've said that, now that I've put that into the universe, he'll decide to play another 5 years. For reference, I am a Bears fan. I am sick and tired of this man. I'm not going to comment on what I think he'll do for Pittsburgh because I think he'll be fine. But, it is what it is. We're here to talk about his potential successor in Will Howard. And Will Howard is a very interesting case as a prospect. Now, first of all, I will say I do have this as an A+ because I thought this was tremendous value. I had a 3rd round grade on Howard. You get him all the way here in the 6th round. He was just outside of my top 5 quarterbacks this year. I actually did a whole video about my top 10 quarterbacks in the draft. If you want to hear my full thoughts on Howard as a prospect from a couple months ago, you'll be able to find that on my channel. I'll try to link it either in the description or on the video somewhere. But Howard is a very interesting case because Will Howard is essentially 2 players. There is pre-2024 playoff run Will Howard, and then there's that magical run where he looked like a different quarterback. He was making clutch throws. He was, accurate. He was making big plays. He was doing everything you want to see out of an NFL prospect. He looked exactly like a guy that, probably should have went in the 1st round. The problem is he played, 4 years of football before that? So that's probably why he slipped. But I mean, if Pittsburgh's taking him here and they're thinking they're going to ride the hot hand, right? They're thinking that is vindictive of what football is ahead of him, then you've got an NFL starting caliber quarterback. And that would be awesome, right? Now, we'll have to see if that's the case. Time will tell, but I highly doubt he is going to see the field year 1, which is good on his part because it'll give him more time to develop. The only thing with that is he is 23, so you're kind of entering put up or shut up territory with that. I would say the hope is probably that he is ready by, year 2, ready to take over as the starter as a sophomore. But just looking at my notes on him here, he's got a great frame, 6'4", 230 plus pounds, an above average arm, not like an elite arm. We're not talking Mahomes. We're not talking Stafford. But he has an NFL arm. He can make pretty much any throw you're going to need him to. Very tough competitor, willing to hang in the pocket and take a hit. He's very mechanically sound, has a good base. He's a decent athlete, nothing crazy, but he can get out of the pocket and make some plays. His release is very quick and compact. His moon ball is beautiful, very accurate downfield, something that DK Metcalf is going to love. He has really good touch downfield. He can put enough heat behind his passes to hit tight window throws. He can extend plays a little bit, like I said. He handles pressure, I would say, pretty well. He's good at setting up receivers for yak opportunities, which will pair very well with Roman Wilson. And like I said, that 2024 playoff run was truly magical. Now, on the opposite side of things, while I think he does handle pressure very well, his ability to sense it and his ability to manipulate the pocket to buy himself more time is poor. That is something that definitely needs to develop. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers is willing to work with him on that because I think, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks ever and is very good at doing that. So maybe he can teach him a thing or two, but, Aaron Rodgers is the me show, not the, oh yeah, I'm going to sit down and mentor a rookie guy. We'll see. Don't love his accuracy over the middle of the field. Getting back to Will Howard here. Needs to work on throwing with a little bit more velocity. Needs to put more heat behind his throws. Like I said, he's capable of doing it. It's just the consistency in which he does it. His consistency working through his progressions is also pretty non-existent. He's very, very inconsistent. Again, the playoff run was different, but for the 4 years prior to that, definitely a lot of concerns there. His accuracy on the run is pretty spotty, and he's not somebody that's really good at manipulating linebackers or DBs. He's not somebody that can misplace them with eye movement or anything like that. It's, they kind of know where he wants to go. So we'll see if we're getting playoff Will Howard. If we are, then this is a fantastic pick for the Steelers. And I think we'll be talking, here in 2 to 3 years, man, how in such a weak quarterback class did Will Howard slip all the way to the 6th round? But, time will obviously tell with that one. And then with the last 2 picks here, I'm just going to lump them together. Carson Bruner and Dante Kent. They're kind of the same thing, just a developmental dart throw on guys with good traits. Bruner ran like a 4.5. Kent, super fast, returned punts. Neither one of those are offensive picks by any means. The reason those are a B plus and not an A or higher is just because I feel like there were guys that could have contributed day one that ended up going undrafted that, would have been better picks here. Because at the end of the day, 7th round undrafted, there's not a huge difference in talent between those guys. At least not coming out. Obviously, you have your 7th rounders that explode and become superstar players, but the same can be said for UDFAs. So take that as you will. Point is, specifically with Carson Bruner, I would have loved to see Pittsburgh take Sean Dolich. He feels like such a Steelers type of player. Really good downhill, good in coverage. Sure, he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but what he lacks in athleticism, he more than makes up for in talent and skill and football IQ. And that's more than I can say for Bruner. And then at corner, Kobe Bryant falling out of the draft absolutely blew my mind. There were a couple other guys as well whose names are escaping me, but honestly, I'm a little bit more shook, or I guess not shook. I'm a little bit more disappointed that Dolich wasn't the pick over any of the corners. Before we get into my actual final grade for Pittsburgh's draft, there is one more player I want to bring up. And that is a player who I actually had a higher grade on than everyone Pittsburgh took on day 3. This was a top 100 player on my board. He was at 97 for those who want the specifics, top 10 player at his position for me. And that was Sebastian Castro, the safety out of Iowa, who had no business being available as a UDFA. It is incredible for Pittsburgh that they managed to pick him up, especially in light of the news that Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be a Miami Dolphin, or officially is a Miami Dolphin, I should say. Because Castro is an awesome, awesome football player. Like I said, top 100 player on my board. He was my safety 7 just behind Lathan Ransom and Kevin Winston Jr. Had a mid-3rd round grade on him, and I'm such a big fan. Now, for the detractors, I will say the reason he fell out of the draft most likely has to do with the fact that he is not some super rangy safety with high-end speed. He's just not, and he will be 25 years old as a rookie. So, obviously not super ideal. But in terms of just wanting, someone that you can plug and play as what's probably going to be that 3rd safety for Pittsburgh, Castro's a dog, man. He is so good. He is such a well-rounded player. He's really instinctive in zone coverage. He can match players in man coverage because he's really, even though he's not super fast, his hips are super fluid and he can flip his hips and keep up. Don't know how much of that you're going to be asking him to do at the NFL level, obviously, but he didn't have a problem with it at Iowa. From a football IQ standpoint, he looked every bit of a 6-year senior, was the smartest guy on the field at all times. He is just such a fun player. And then, playing downhill, he's super physical. He gets off of blocks consistently. And I mean, to push the point home further, his idol was Troy Polamalu. This is a dude that was clearly meant to be a Steeler, and he ends up there and has now been given a golden opportunity with this Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. Now, I don't think he'll start, at least not right away. Deshaun Elliott is on a 2-year deal. He looked very good for Pittsburgh last year. Very consistent box safety. And Castro is not going to take over that Minkah role. That will likely be Juan Thornhill, even though I think Castro is a better ball player than Thornhill. He just doesn't have the range or the back end ability that Thornhill kind of brings to the table. I could see a world where, maybe they want to have the best players on the field and they play Elliott in more of that Minkah role, and that could work. I don't think it's super likely. I don't think you're going to extend Deshaun Elliott and then go, you know what, we're going to take him out of where he's best, play him slightly out of position. Granted, I think he could more than hold down the fort there. I think he would be very capable. But I think, considering they have invested in him at least for 2 years and he looked very good for them, you're probably going to want to keep him where he's most comfortable, and that is going to be closer to the line of scrimmage. And Juan Thornhill's not a terrible player by any means. He's a quality Band-Aid if they don't go out and sign someone else. There's some names floating around in free agency that can make this whole point moot, but, from where we're at right now, assuming Pittsburgh rolls into the season with the same secondary, which now features Jalen Ramsey in the nickel, which unfortunately also could eat into Castro's potential snaps because he's somebody that would be more than capable of playing in the nickel. You're not playing him over Jalen Ramsey. Either way, point is, I think Castro will contribute somewhere, even if it's just on special teams. He will be a part of this team. He will do something for you, and that's a very good thing to get as a UDFA. I don't want to sit here and talk about upside a lot because, like I said, he's going to be 25 by the time the season starts. So what you see is what you get. But who knows? Maybe he could work on some of the consistency with his tackling. That's like the one thing outside of the speed that I'll be like, yeah, there could be an issue there. And it's not a form thing at all. He just gets over aggressive sometimes. You know, the whole idea of being a downhill thumper, he wants to lay dudes out. And sometimes it'll be like when you're playing Madden and you hit the hit stick and you whiff. He does that from time to time. And that's something that can be cleaned up. You know, the coaches can just say, hey man, we love that you want to take people's heads off. There's a time and place, you know? But no, I really like the Castro pick, and I actually had to record this in post because of the whole Ramsey trade. So there you have it, and we'll go ahead and jump back to me in the past giving my overall grade for Pittsburgh's draft class. But as a whole, I love Pittsburgh's draft class. I really teetered back and forth between what grade I was going to give them, but in the end, I ended up settling on an A. I think this is a tremendous class, easily going to be one of the 10 best draft classes we talk about. But that illustrious A+, I'm really trying to save that for maybe 5 groups. And Pittsburgh just barely missed out on that cut for the top 5, I would say. But either way, just absolutely incredible work from Pittsburgh. A very, very nice draft that pretty much has made me forget about an offseason full of moves that I wasn't personally a huge fan of. And honestly, this makes up for the sin of employing Aaron Rodgers in the big 2025 as well. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. Like, do you think this is a great draft class? Do you think I'm overselling it? Do you think I'm underselling any of the individual picks? Let me know. I'd love to sit down and be able to chat with you all about this pick, especially as someone who historically has not been super positive towards Pittsburgh. If you check my Twitter, I've said some very mean things about Pittsburgh's fan base, but I'm out of that now. I'm a changed man, and I feel like my very positive thoughts on this draft class kind of reflect that point. So, like I said, let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, which I hope you did, please make sure to leave a like down below, as it does help out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows you care, and I really do appreciate it. And also make sure to subscribe for more NFL content coming your way throughout the rest of the summer. I'm going to get through the rest of these draft grades at some point, hopefully, if the universe decides to stop, prohibiting me from doing so, with being sick and having computer problems and all sorts of other things. But eventually, once I get these done, I am going to get into some film breakdowns. Maybe we'll end up talking about Sebastian Castro in one of those. Who knows? We'll see. But, definitely won't want to miss those. And then also during the regular season, we'll be making film breakdowns. I feel like this year, Zach Frazier is going to be a name that's going to get talked about on this channel at some point. Because, God, I love Zach Frazier. Wasn't super high on him last year if you're returning from my draft grades, and I turned around on that real quick. That boy is special. So definitely won't want to miss out on those, like I said. But above all else, as I already alluded to, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it, because you're all wonderful people, and you truly do deserve it.
Had a chance on the throwback. This was an ill-advised throw. What an unbelievable catch by Cole Kmet. And he cups it too. No movement when he hits the ground, tucked up against his shoulder. Wow. Using that